Hi, it's Lori Peterson with the Capital Film Arts Alliance, and we bring you another episode of CFAA Film Talk. This has been our regular, almost weekly webcast where we bring conversations with industry professionals and their friends together. We want to kind of get back to what it takes to make things happen, how we can grow independent production and local media. Our organization, the Capital Film Arts Alliance, if you're not already familiar, we are a nonprofit organization that was started in 2004 to give local filmmakers, writers, and actors a place to collect and connect and to gather and share information, make connections with each other so that they can add to their reels and their resumes by working on other projects and growing their skills. We are committed to doing that here in the Sacramento region. We have had a lot of growth this year, and we're super happy to present this new webcast as a way that, even though we can't meet in person because of COVID at this time, we look to when that opens up again and we can see you guys in person because we really miss you. But also this opportunity through the webcast gives us a way to still connect and, you know, make sure that we're all participating in making cool things happen. So what we normally have going on is meetings almost every week. Right now, our Screenwriters Lab, yay! That's what they say. They are meeting on the fourth Tuesday of every month at 6:30. They're actually meeting now, so I'm sorry that we're crossing swords a little bit, but you got to do what you got to do. And any writers who are interested in finding out more about that are welcome. You can email us at scripts@capitalfilmarts.org. Get on the mailing list for that particular group. And anything else we have going on, we announce both through the website, the newsletter, and the social media that we have for the Capital Film Arts Alliance. So like us or follow us or post or join. We do have memberships that are available that help continue to put money back into the organization, that 100% goes back into what we're doing for our membership. So whether it's a membership or whether it's just a basic donation because you got $5 and that's what you can afford, we appreciate everything. We appreciate your support. We appreciate your comments. Just, you know, being a part of this and helping us make this a better place for filmmakers is what our overall objective is. So thank you so much. I wanted to let you know, let me see what's going on. Yeah, there's not a lot of announcements to make. But we do have production that's ramping up. I do want to make sure you know to check our website, which is capitalfilmarts.org. That will give you an ongoing schedule of who our speakers are for CFAA Film Talk. And we've got some really exciting things coming up. I want you guys to make sure you're aware of it. In the meantime, I want to introduce our speakers tonight. And I am really happy to announce the guest speaker, guest interviewer, is Bex Francis, who many of you know. Bex from Access Sacramento, Jocks, Geeks, and Nerds, and For the Love of Cinema. She's got her finger in a lot of different things that help grow this community creatively. And she's also got a relationship with our main speaker, Leah Latham. And it's kind of fun to hear the relationships and the connections that people have that kind of brings us all together. So, Bex, there you are.
Thank you so much for the lovely introduction.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm just really happy to be here, and I'm just happy to welcome our guests. I feel like we should like sing that song, be our guest, because we've got Walt Disney Animation in the house. We have Leah Latham. Leah, come join me.
Yay!
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Welcome.
So how are you?
I'm so good. I'm doing so well. How are you guys?
Yeah, I think we're still on lockdown, but good.
Doing good. You know, like taking everything as a blessing.
Global commonality all of a sudden.
Yes. I know the shared human experience is real, really real in a new way right now.
I'm loving like the effect that it's having, and I'm hating the effect that it's having. It's such a weird dynamic. But one of the things before we get into drilling Leah with all our questions we're waiting to ask, I want to know a little bit more about, you guys and how you met and what brought you together. What kind of, shared power, girl power, you have, explored in projects already.
Yeah, Bex, you want to tell our origin story?
Sure. Yeah, our origin story is actually through Leah's husband, Timothy. So Timothy and I have worked on a couple short films together, and during one of those short films, Leah showed up on set, and yeah, we super connected because she's an amazing, awesome person and person that you totally want to be your friend. So.
I was going to say we were working on a short that and my husband's a visual effects supervisor, and so he had planned out we needed some practical magic on the set, and so there was laundry soap and I think like some bubbles and glitter, and Bex and I are like picking up glitter off the sidewalk. And like, this is production life, y'all. Like this is glamorous movie making. It's like scooping up laundry detergent magic off the ground.
So now you guys all know how to do special effects yourself. Glitter and laundry detergent.
Let it go.
Exactly.
Yes, I can sing every word.
Oh, I'm here for it, Lori. I'm here for it.
Definitely.
So, Bex, let's give us a little information about what you know about Leah, and then see what else we can peel back and learn. Because
well, you know what?
She's a busy chick.
She's going to tell you about herself because she's just amazing all through, and she can say it best, right?
Sure.
What Leah's done. So we get to some of the things, but
thanks. Got a helicopter.
Your location manager, did they not vet this site?
Well, you know. So I am originally from the Midwest. I'm originally from a small town in Illinois. And I grew up always wanting to be an animator. And ever since I was 3, and ever since I realized that you could draw for a living, that's what I wanted to do. And so I studied art my whole life, and I was so passionate about it. I was so passionate about all animated movies, and definitely fell in love with any kind of behind the scenes content I could get my hands on, because it just really affirmed that people got to make the magic that, gave us feelings and gave us hope and gave us dreams and got us to be in another world for an hour and a half. And so I full on wanted to do that. And I got to college. I went to college in St. Louis, Missouri, and was studying animation. And in some of my animation classes, I realized that I actually really didn't love the animating part, which was a huge bummer. So it's a huge bummer to like live your entire life only to realize this is not where you're meant to be per se. And so there's lots of, how to keep it somewhat succinct. I helped start, along with a couple of my classmates, a SIGGRAPH chapter, which is a special interest group in graphics and emerging technology. And we had a student chapter, and we traveled to, it was actually in San Diego that year, the annual conference. And we got there and realized the type of caliber that the other schools table, and we had a very small, very fledgling department. And so we got reignited with this passion to try and up our game and bring in professionals from the coast who were working in the jobs that we wanted. And so we formed speaking opportunities. We actually started an animation festival, which is still going strong at Webster University, called Kinematafest. So I'm very proud to say that there is a legacy left there to support animation and just to get eyes on your work, and just and I fell in love with that whole process of putting together teams and having a vision and executing that vision, and working towards this common goal and then achieving it. And I had this moment where I realized, and I had a good mentor of mine pull me aside, that I actually sound more like a producer than you do an animator, which terrified me, because my entire life I had been studying art. I was like, oh, I'm going to be an animator. You can't stop me. And then only to hit this wall and go, you might have to pivot a little bit. And once I did, I was so much happier, because I was still talking the talk and I had the experience and I was around the art, but I got to look more macro, at a macro level, and bring people together who were just exceptional at it and put together. So by the time that I was ready to graduate, moved out to Los Angeles and called everyone that I had met over the last 4 years through SIGGRAPH and our kind of Manifest Animation Festival. Is like, I make really good coffee. What do you need? And I was very, very fortunate, and the recruiter at Disney Animation Studios brought me on to be the recruitment coordinator. So I started in recruiting at Disney, and which was amazing. And I got to meet so many wonderful supervisors of each department and really get to know what they're looking for in artists, and what and how we staff movies and all that good stuff. But I realized what I really wanted to be was on the movie, not just supporting staffing of the movie. And so I made the jump to production management on Prep and Landing 2. If any of you guys saw that on on ABC, it's a really cute Christmas special that I was very proud to work on. It was my first gig as a production assistant, and then I Frozen in the editorial department, Frozen 1, and then I moved on to Zootopia, and then Moana, and then Frozen 2, and a couple other things, bits and bobs along the way. But that's kind of the major thing. Now I'm a senior production supervisor for supporting the story and editorial department on Raya and the Last Dragon.
That's awesome. See, as I said, she says it best. She's
it's the story I know the best.
Yes, no, it's so great.
Just mentioning those titles makes my heart just warm. I'm like, oh yes, oh,
thank you.
So proud. You got to be so proud of that kind of work.
It is amazing to see this. I kind of equate it to like when you're working on a school project or something like that. That's you've got your team and you're just working on this thing. It just feels, and like it's just yours, and like you're not really worried about everyone else who's going to see it one day, and then you release it to the world, and then it's no longer yours, and you see something that you have poured your soul into for years all of a sudden live its own life and to go off, to proverbial college basically, and be like, good luck out there, like go play nice with the other children, and you get to hope loves it as much as you do, because good, bad, or otherwise, however the world receives it, you put the same amount of effort and care and passion into no matter what you make. And so it's incredible that the world has embraced all those titles that I mentioned. It's a huge honor.
That's awesome. So the last time that we saw you came to the For the Love of Cinema Woman in Film event here in Sacramento, and that's where a lot of people got to meet you for the first time. So I think
that was such a fun event.
It was a fun event. So I think we have a clip from that. I have to tell Reggie there to get the clip. Let's see. I produced a show called Jocks, Geeks, and Nerds, and me and Christina and Sam all came together to put this event here for you. It's awesome turnout. I'm so glad that everyone's here to support women in film. We are honored to have Leah Latham here with us. She came all the way up from Los Angeles today.
So I know when I was in college, it always felt like someone was going to come down with a magical wand and tell me how to work-life balance and how to have it all. And I think the truth is that life is messy, and that's beautiful. And finding the in-between as you go is really all you can do. For every success that I have ever been given, there was someone before me who was making sure they were holding my hand. I think we need to be advocates for each other. And any success that we get, we need to bring 3 other people along with us to walk through. We need to blast that door down and make sure that it is safe for all of us to walk through.
So Leah, we wanted to present this to you. So For the Love of Cinema presents the Certificate of Achievement. This award is for Leah for the excellence and integrity in film and animation on this day, January 18th, 2020. Thank you.
Thank you, Max.
That was so fun.
That was such
so
a great event. Yeah. I think that was like the last hug that I had before COVID too. So.
Right. I'm looking at that too. It's like, oh, my hair's long now.
Yeah. So, how did you feel about the Sacramento film community when you came? I was kind of getting a little bit of feedback on that.
I loved it. I mean, it was my first real experience being in Sacramento and getting to know the community there. And everyone is so thoughtful and creative and passionate and had such great questions and were so engaged. And I was so touched and honored by that. And so privileged to be able to engage in a conversation like that, especially on something that I'm so passionate about, and be able to share it with other people who are passionate about it too. And I was honored to try to answer any of those questions. I still think sometimes about those questions that we got to have, and and thinking about the responsibility that we have. Particularly, I'm at a very privileged place to be able to work at Disney Animation Studios, where our work is showcased at a global level, and that comes with a lot of responsibility, and being able to talk on behalf of the studio and be reminded of the passion that we have every single day it was a wonderful experience. And I loved getting to sit out. You were so great in allowing a one by one question and answer moment to afterwards, and getting to meet people individually. It was just a highlight. I think I floated on air for the next week or more.
You were so generous with your time.
Oh,
yeah, the whole day it felt like this just really harmonious sharing of women, because it was specifically a women event, although there were some men there too. But your generosity was incredible.
Oh, thank you. I think it's really important for all of us to do, which is exactly what this moment is right now too. Is I had people help me, and that comes with a responsibility to help others too. And so that's exactly what you have done here in this forum. And so I'm just so thrilled to be a part of it. I really appreciate it. It's great. I'm excited. Yeah. Yay, Sacramento.
Thank you. And I just have to point out that Leah, her husband also works in the industry too. And they sat down with every single person who wanted to speak with them. There was such a long line. There was probably 60 people, I kid you not, that they spoke with, all on an individual level. And that just never happened. So I just thank you for that. And thank you for the love that you've given us in Sacramento and for all that you're doing. So thank you.
Right back at you. And, thank you for creating AA and to bring me along on the journey, so that, I am so honored to be here, and all the amazing people that you are bringing together and being a resource and helping to be a community, because it's so important to have that community, so you know who to lean on and how you can reach out. And particularly in this time too, this really unprecedented time, you have a resource that you can reach out to and hold on to and share and laugh and grieve and create together. And so I really want to thank CFAA too for creating that space and for having me here.
We are honored to have both of you.
Thank you. So let's see. I know at the end of June, because we've been in lockdown and stuff, something cool happened on Disney Plus, right? This cool show came out. I know. What show was that? into the unknown, Frozen 2, the making of Frozen 2, right?
Yeah, it sure did.
It did. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the show? And I know because I was watching it, but I want to hear it from you.
Sure, yeah, sure, of course. Yeah, so the making of Frozen 2 Into the Unknown, it was a documentary that we made over the course of most of the last year production on Frozen 2. And it was something that we really haven't my experience at the studio, and this is an opportunity to be able to showcase such content, which is really exciting. It's really cool. So it was kind of a grand experiment, and it was really cool to be partnered with ABC News too. So it came from a perspective of newsworthiness, and so it wasn't actually like everything you see is real. It is they are bound to the code of ethics of media, and so they definitely and reporting, and they wanted to take that approach. So they recorded several hundred hours of footage, and they edited it down to 3.5 hours that you saw on Disney Plus. So they literally were with us every single day, and we got to know them individually as people, and they became kind of part of our crew, and to tell you that they're part of the people that I miss by being in this COVID lockdown too. It's kind of weird to think back that when we go back to studio, they won't be there too necessarily, because they were wonderful, and they're wonderful cinematographers and very courteous, and just made it feel like they weren't really even there. So it was easy for us to be authentic in those moments because we just kind of took it all in stride. But they were literally there pretty much. It felt like every single day is what it felt like. It wasn't actually, because we had stints where they would sometimes be in New York to film Bobby and Kristen Lopez, or they were we had some recording, we would screen record our Blue Jeans calls, our Zoom video calls with Bobby and Kristen, and we'd have microphones. So like those types of things were always recorded. So there's so much content all the time. And so they had to try to find a narrative. That's how documentaries work, right? Is you don't know what the story is going to be. So you just overfilm and wait for the narrative to show yourself. Ha, ha, ha. And yeah, they came up with that story. So it was really interesting. It's crazy though, because again, that kind of like what I was saying earlier, you feel like your story is in a box, and it's like, it's just, you're going to work every day, it's just your thing, and like no one's really going to see it. And I think I was in denial for so long that this was not going to be a thing the world was going to see, or like my face was going to be in anyone's living room. It still gives me anxiety. It's a little the Truman Show kind of analogy. It's like, you just do your thing, and then next thing you know, you're being captured taking lots of notes, taking so many notes, guys.
I think it's hard to be behind the scenes and then suddenly in front of the camera. It's never comfortable. Like, I don't know how actors do it, honestly.
Yeah. And I feel for, my perspective was one, obviously I'm not the level of Jen and Chris and Peter, our directors, writer and producer. And they really had to be on. I would say actually they're very authentic on that. That is who they are. They are not putting on a character. That is who they are. But well, you guys probably feel it because now in this life, I know I do, in this life of video conferencing, that energy that you're putting on when you are engaging with a camera is different. You just know you're being watched all that time. So that was interesting. So I guess maybe we were just being prepared for life in COVID.
So preempt. Well, I think we actually have a clip from like a trailer, right? That's the
exciting.
Here we go. Dun, dun, dun.
Is this your first on-screen debut?
At this level? Yes. Aside from voice acting, yes. Definitely.
Here we go. Oh, I don't hear the volume. It's okay. Describe to us what's going on. You can be the first one.
My gosh. Okay. Cool. All right. So this is all of our actors. They're singing. Oh, that's Chris. He is drawing Olaf. Oh no, it went away. Chris is really good at drawing Olaf all the time.
Yeah.
I think Reggie must.
My name is Rachel.
There we go.
Years old,
Hey, Reggie.
and Let It Go literally saved my life. to be working on a new movie with these characters that people love. This is a special time.
It's nerve-wracking. I've never animated Elsa before.
The challenge is carrying on what people fell in love with in the first movie.
In animation, you write a script, and then you record it. Ready? And then they go back to the drawing board. And it changes dramatically. Goodbye.
It's probably the toughest time of production is a year out. When all the balls are up in the air and the balls start falling.
Every 3 months, we screen the film. It can be pretty intense, the feedback.
I was confused.
I had to take notes.
We can write a new song.
Maybe we have 1 song left to write, or maybe we have 5.
We just don't want to let the fans down. We made this movie for them.
All right, ready?
Into the unknown.
You're an audience that loves these characters.
Into the unknown.
I wasn't prepared to cry at this.
Into the unknown.
If you can do better, you have to do it. I actually animated her based on videotaping myself. Can't believe I just showed that to you guys.
Is that better?
It's an exciting time, but this is it. I guess you could say we're going into the unknown.
Into the unknown.
Woo! Okay, I think I saw you in that clip. Did you guys see Leah in there? Do we have a picture? I have a story behind this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, okay, here's my story. So I was watching this, of course, with my kids. And every time like you or Heather came up, I just kept pausing it and like, oh, look, there's my friend. Oh, look, there's Leah. Oh, there's Heather. And my kids got so mad at me. They're like, can we just watch? And I'm like, no. After I pause it and look at one of the questions I have is, first of all, so you knew that they were filming each day, I guess? Yeah. So did everyone like dress to the T? Because everyone looked so nice, like dressed every day. I was like,
pretty hot, I gotta say.
Oh yes, let's talk fashion. Let's do it. Like, it's funny because I love to dress in a vintage style. That brings me a lot of joy. That sparks a lot of joy for me, and that it feels like I love the vintage style, not vintage values. To quote a good friend of mine. Danny Wellington, follow him on Instagram. He is an amazing vintage dresser and band leader. Should you shout out to him? But anyway, I love dressing up for work because I just think that if you can bring your best self to work, even if the world starts to fall down around you, you can go in the bathroom and go like, still got this. It's okay. You look put together. You feel like you don't have it, but you look put together. You're all right. So, with a good tube of lipstick, you can take over the world. But I'm really glad that we all look like we have it together. Like I said, it's really stressful. The entire process can get really tense, and that is, and the truth of the matter is that you're with a lot of people that you really respect. You're having a lot of really interesting meetings with people that are across the studio, and so you can try to bring your best self to work if you can. That said, like, we all dress very differently, so it's just so happens that you are attracted to aesthetics of fashion. So thank you very much. But it's cool because you can come to work in flip flops and comfy leggings, or you can come in a nice business dress, whatever you want, whatever makes you feel most authentic. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So speaking of that, just like that whole behind the scenes thing, because I didn't know that they were going to be obviously doing this. I had seen the Mandalorians, their behind the scene thing. So
isn't that cool?
It was so cool. So to see the Frozen 2 it really opened up my eyes. Can you tell me like how long start to finish that, like after the concept of we're going to make this film, how long does it take?
Well, I would say it depends on where you want to start the stopwatch. So if you say we're going to make this film. So in our case of like Frozen 2. It's about a year and a half out from our release date. So when the chief creative officer, which is Jennifer Lee, who is also our writer director on Frozen 2, is now our chief creative officer, which is amazing. She goes like, all right, you are the next movie and we're going to attach you to a release date in 2023. 18 months out is when we kind of think of formal production, and we're working towards a screening cycle, which is something that I help manage in my particular role. But it is, so we're always rewriting the script and then we're storyboarding it, and we are putting it up with temporary dialogue. So that might be like the three of us getting in a recording booth and putting voices to it, but it's never going to see the light of day. But it's just enough to get pacing and tone and feel like it's just very much like sketching, no refinement. There's temporary sound effects, there's temporary music, all that good stuff. And we cut it together and we look at it and we go, wow, that's really terrible. How do we make it less terrible? And so we take it back to the script and we reboard it again and we re-edit it and we take it back to the script and reboard it, re-edit it. And it's just, it's a cycle that goes on and on and on. And I would say about 9 months out-ish is when we really start to get serious and start to bring on other departments. And it walks all the way, we can walk it all the way through the production pipeline at that point where we've got supervisors for each of the departments. And there's, we have well over 20 different departments that directly affect on the production floor any given shot in the movie. So there's, hundreds of people, it takes hundreds of people to make these, which is really cool to see this level of teamwork that we're able to particularly achieve at home right now under quarantine, and we're all able to continue working on Raya and the Last Dragon. Topic about 9 months or 4, so we have. I'm sorry, what? Well, I can tell you where we are in Raya and the Last Dragon at the moment, because we're aiming to try and finish up our production by the end of the year. So right now we're in full crunch mode where all the pistons are firing, all the departments are on, and we're going to try and finish by the end of the year. So, yeah. Did I answer your question, or did I just talk in circles? Sorry.
No,
I mean,
a lot of great information, and yeah, definitely. So how has COVID affected everybody well, especially for you too, because I know that your husband is also probably working from home. Last thing I know. So how does that affect you? How has it affected the industry? Can you talk a little bit about that? And
yeah, we are really, really fortunate. Disney Animation Studios is very fortunate because animation is something that is one of the more easily transferable to work from home. And what's interesting is this whole pandemic has pushed us to think in new ways, support technology in new ways. But our shout out to our technology team, who was able to really within 2 weeks get our entire studio, several hundred people, really up and running like pretty much seamlessly. So it felt like we were at the office, and we're producing shots almost the same level, which is incredible. It is really incredible. We are running out reviews off of the laptop. We are having story meetings. We're having script discussions. We're doing animation dailies and lighting dailies. And the one thing that will, of course, be something that we want to get back in front of a full screen is that final image, to make sure that what you can't see on a little tiny window here, we need to see it on the big screen to make sure that we don't have some erroneous thing in the background somewhere, that a stray interpenetrating skirt going through someone's arm or something like that we will want to catch an end, but that you can't really do on a computer screen. But other than that, we are really working full steam ahead, and it's pretty incredible what we were able to do. Yeah, my husband is also, he works in visual effects, and so they're doing the same. It's a lot harder if you work in live action film right now, as I'm sure this community knows, because we aren't really out in close groups right now. So they're still doing it. I know in some, and I think I heard that Atlanta, Georgia is starting to open up and follow a lot of strict protocols. And one of our actresses on Raya is starting to shoot again on her Marvel film in Australia. So Australia is starting to open up again. But changes every day, doesn't it? The world opens and shuts, and you have to keep watching it. So it's an incredible time, and so as far as to keep it on point of this industry, it is interesting because everyone's just getting really thrifty and trying to figure out how to find inventory, how to keep everyone working.
Yeah. So with that, is there something that what's something positive that maybe has come out of this moment? I know that we've been in lockdown and stuff, and there's a lot of things that people think of negatively, but what's something that's positive that's happened maybe in your life or in your industry?
Yeah. In my life, I have honestly loved working with my husband because it's really fun. Instead of just like texting him like, how's your day? I just get to walk the 10 steps from I usually work in the kitchen, and I go over his office and like, oh, you know, how's your day? Like, you get to see my face while I go, how's your day? It's, you know, really dynamic relationships. Do. And we get to go on walks, and we get to, so that's just appreciating some more home time has been really fantastic. And as far as professionally, it's cool that we are having to think in new ways, that we have to think about how we communicate in new ways. So that right there is a stretch moment. And I think every day that we get to learn something new is a blessing. So that has been really good. The fact that we get something positive is the fact that we are still making incredible content from home. And that is a huge positive for me. We just had on Raya, we just had a pre-screening an internal screening that is really just for our filmmakers and our media story trust. So if you've seen the documentary, you know that we have that screening. So that's real, right? That's a thing that we do. But instead of doing it in a big theater like that, because obviously theaters were so 2019, we are doing it on a digital format like this. So everyone has like a secure login, and we're all watching it from home. And that we're able to still get the same sort of quality notes out of that. We all got on a giant Zoom call of the entire story trust, which is made up of the writers and the directors and our creative executives at our studio, our think tank, get together and give notes. And we're just like a giant mosaic tile of Zoom, and everyone's giving notes, which is really cool. And I'm so proud to say that this movie is going to be another exceptional movie. I cry every time I see this movie, which is kind of blowing my mind because it is very much not done yet, but it is so powerful, and especially it's so timely and relevant. And that's the type of storytelling that I am so thrilled that our company stands behind, and that we are continuing to do, even though the world is changing from underneath our feet. And yet we're finding ways to still connect and make sure that we're putting powerful, layered, nuanced storytelling as the top priority.
I love that. Some of the changes that I have seen also are just in technology alone. So with like AI and CGI, how has that affected animation at all, or has it?
Yeah, it definitely has. It's more advancing technology. It's something I'm super nerdy about. I love, and Disney is passionate about it. Our studio is passionate about it. We have really intelligent, talented people always trying to push that forward, which is really, really cool. What's this?
Oh, this is a comment, so you guys can address that when you get.
Oh, okay. Sorry, hi, Kat. Hi. I'll come back to that. Sorry, I'm easily distracted.
Squirrel, right?
I know. I was like, I was supposed to read a thing. Oh no, I forgot what I was talking about. I'm so sorry. Oh, AI. Okay, so technology. So it is a very fertile ground that we embrace all sorts of technology, and we're able to transform it into our movies. And so if you guys got to see Cycles or Myth working on, I'm a voice in Cycles, so that's kind of fun. That's fun little trivia there. But so that came from a grassroots idea that one of our employees had. He was a lighting artist at the time. He submitted to a program called Short Circuit that we were doing, which you can see some of our short circuits on Disney Plus. And those ideas get pitched from across the studio, and we select anyone from around that qualifies for that story that it's chosen by creative executives that they want to give a voice, because either it is pushing technology in a direction that we want to experiment with in a short format, or it's a story that maybe we really want to see come to life that is maybe not ready for an hour and a half type of scale, but it's a story that is meant to be told. So it's cool that it can push on either of those things. There are definitely people who have wanted to dive into a new technology. We found a lot of really cool tools through programs like that are heavily experimental. And we have done things that we have camera capture. We've pushed the envelope on camera capturing, where our cinematographer or camera department, they have a virtual rig where they can get into the shot and actually see and shoot more like being on a live action set, which is really neat. I think something in the industry, which is actually something that I've seen a lot of in video games, is unified data. When the Unreal Engine was released, I think all of us got really excited. We're like, what is this? The real-time rendering, how far that is going. And then we're looking at like, okay, well, how can that inform what we are doing? And what we are doing inform the rest of the industry too? So it's the sharing mentality of always looking and going like, oh, what are they doing? Oh, that's cool. I want to see how can we make that work for us? And whether it's working on tools to help animators just be more efficient. We're always animator performance driven, so we don't do motion capture, though that has its place for sure. It's just not what we do. That said, there is technology with motion that can educate what we do and how it can inform what we are trying to achieve, and maybe there's something that we can work with. But we have the best in the business. I biasly say I think that they are just the best in the world. I think they're incredible actors. Definitely true when you watch Frozen 2. Definitely true. Can't wait for you guys to see Riot, because the stuff that's making on screen is just like, this was a person sitting behind a desk for 2 weeks and making one shot, and it has the power to make you totally emote and relate. So all of these tools completely inform and inspire and better our product. Yeah,
that's awesome. So I have another just fun question for you. I mean, did you see Hamilton?
Oh my gosh, yes. Did I see Hamilton? Oh, twice, since it's on Disney Plus.
Right? Yeah. I think my mom keeps playing it over and over like every day. And so we're pretty caught up with that musical right now. I can probably sing a little verse for you, but can't sing, so I won't.
Everything's a Hamilton lyric. It'll come out before the end of this thing. It always comes back to Hamilton.
Probably. It's like my ringtone right now.
Oh, love it. Yes.
But you have a actor that actually was in Hamilton that is also Kristoff.
Yes.
So how does music play a part in creating your animation? Does it?
Oh my gosh.
Part?
It plays a huge part. I mean, and of course it depends on what type of movie you're talking about. Is it a musical or a movie without songs in that way, with a score? So Raya is not a musical. Raya is, it will have a score, a beautiful score that is going to be very exciting and moving, but is not a musical. Frozen obviously is a musical. So those are treated somewhat differently, because obviously like Frozen, as you saw in the documentary, our songwriters, Bobby and Kristen Lopez, joined on the team immediately, and they create the story with us as we go. So it's this, we always say it's a chicken and egg process, because the ideas just kind of come in a circle. So Jen usually will have the first gen of an idea, and then we talk it through with them, and then Bobby and Kristen will have a melody that inspires them, and they might be playing with, what does Elsa's theme sound like, and it will just be a little ditty, that will just something that we're like, oh, that's really good. Oh, that makes me feel a certain way. And so Jen will go off and she'll write a scene because with that just playing in her background, because it feels inspiring for her. And then she'll write this thing. Oh, I had this big Atta Holland moment. Oh, what is Atta Holland? Oh, and then we do this over and over and over and over and over. And so it's very much a lockstep process. And they're part of the note sessions, and we meet with them on Frozen. We were meeting with them like pretty much every day. And so it's very, very integrated then if you want to talk about score, something like Raya or Zootopia, it is score, as I think we all innately as humans know, like music moves you, and it has the power to move you, whether it has lyrics or not. And so the scoring part is always very exciting to see the composer come in and make a score that suits your movie and it defines a world and a feeling and a universe. And Raya is a fantasy that is inspired. It's taking a lot of inspiration from Southeast Asia, which is a part of the world that I personally love. It's a gorgeous part of the world with really deep culture, and that the world hasn't really had on a global scale like we'll be able to deliver. Hasn't seen a story like this before, so it's very, very fresh. But our music, we want we want to rethink what would that feel like if we're making a movie that is inspired by Southeast Asia. What does that, but it's a fantasy world inspired by, so that's such a fun challenge for a composer to get in there and go like, well, what does that sound like? And so you're creating an entire universe, but it needs to have those emotional weight and the arcs and the swells and the moments that any good score has. So it's really fun to see it come along. And I should say, as we're building the movie, we have a music editor and he has a team, and they provide temp score along the way when we're putting up these temporary screenings that we get notes on, because we still want people to feel what that feeling is going to feel like, though it will never again see a light of day. It's just, you're pulling scores from all sorts of movies that have that, invoke that type of feeling, to see, are we going in the right direction? Because it's that much harder to gauge your story when you're just watching silence, just talking over sketches. I don't know, I'm not feeling anything. So music is so important, and it tells you a lot.
That's awesome. I agree. I just think of some of the scores that you just think of when you think of Star Wars, with John Williams and stuff. It's amazing. It moves you.
Yeah.
Zimmerman, so I think Lori has a question.
Oh, I just want to, before we get too far off into another topic, but can you tell us anything? Is there a Disney princess or heroine, or what's the character that's driven that's your typical Disney, champion, I guess, heroine?
For me personally, like one that I have related to?
No, I mean for this upcoming,
for Raya.
What can we look to for this movie to bring in terms of that particular character that is what Disney is certainly known for?
Yeah, I'm actually excited to say that I can't tell you much, which is very funny because it feels like I know what you're getting for Christmas and I can't tell you. But I'm so excited because this is an ensemble movie, and but it follows the main character. Her name is Raya, and she's a lone warrior out on a mission to find the last dragon. The last dragon is played by Awkwafina, Nora Lum, and who's incredible and funny and super talented. And so yeah, right, hearts everywhere. And but we have the whole cast is just beautifully balanced. We have some real powerhouses, and it's so neat to work on a movie that has actually like 3 really strong female leads, and it's really powerful, and it's inspired by this gorgeous culture, and the ensemble, the way that they come at it together is, like I said, so timely, and it's these people it's a ragtag group all coming together to have to form this misfit team to to really try and save the world from an evil force. And I'm just really excited for you guys to see. We're going to make some announcements over the next several weeks, I think, soon, I'm hoping. But yeah, more coming for sure. I'm excited about it.
Excellent. We have a question too. You want to? So Elizabeth Ann Springett, who is also gonna, at some point, we're gonna all laugh or smile and look at the camera because she's gonna take a picture of us.
Yes.
So she's mentioned that you were inspired by animation films as a young girl. Do you have a favorite childhood animated film, and has it influenced your contemporary work?
Yes. I mean, I think that's always a fun question because, especially like in an interview room, when I have the opportunity to be on an interview panel for hiring, it comes up. It's always interesting because the things that inspired some of us as children, some of my coworkers actually made, and so that's just kind of blows my mind. So mine is Beauty and the Beast. That was my obsession, and that was one of those that I was like, I will animate like Glenn Keane. I cannot animate like Glenn Keane, guys. I don't know who can, but like I cannot do that. But like that's really what, talking about how it relates to today. That's what really kind of broke my brain when I first got the opportunity to work at Disney. Is I met Glenn, and I talked with Glenn, and I was like, no, you are responsible for why I'm here. Like, you are truly the reason why. And he is one of those people that is so passionate about making sure that the next generation is inspired and has opportunities. And he's off working on some wonderful projects outside of Disney as well. But he's inspired an entire generation to do something similar. Him and, of course, everyone of the 90s inspired like everyone who's now in their 30s, like I am. And so Beauty and the Beast was it for me. Also, Pinocchio, I think, was the first movie I saw that I realized was drawn, and that something in me clicked. And I was like 3, guys, and that's like, but I was like, that's a drawing, and that drawing moves, and if I pause it, I can draw that. I'm going to draw that now. And so I always like the dark movies, though. I love a good villain. I love a good dark moment. And so yeah, how it gets to translate to the today. The legacy that we all carry on, because we know that those movies that can drive you with such power to make you choose a career as a child, you know, you're like, there's that kind of power. There's the kind of power that like Frozen has. There's that, again, speaking back to the responsibility, there's that power you have of you can tell a story about depression, like we did in Frozen 2, and overcoming grief. And that's a song that I was so passionate about, because I know Kristen Bell was so passionate about, because we don't have songs like that to provide words to feelings that we have. Let It Go was the same thing, that people found outlets through these songs. And so that's something that's really cool to see full circle, because it's something that legacy of full emotion all the way through to providing a platform to articulate a feeling that some of us might struggle articulating.
So if someone is interested in maybe becoming an animator, are there resources, or what's the path or suggestions that you have for them?
Yeah, and just to be specific, are you talking about animator particular, like that particular discipline? Because I was kind of thinking about it, and I just jotted down literally 29 different disciplines within our own studio. So like, there's something for everyone. So something that I really want to make sure I share too is that even if you can't draw, or you are like me, where you think that's what you want to do, and then you get there and you realize you don't really like it, but you want to be a part of it, and you're not sure where or how, it's okay. We're pretty much like a little city, the industry, and if we want to keep it specific for today, animation industry is like a little city where it has so many different options, depending on what your strengths and passions are. If you're like me and love creative problem solving and leadership, and you know, the macro of you putting a project together and executing it along the way, and working with team members. Production management is there for you. Producing is there for you. If you like drawing and you love photography and composition, story is there for you. If you love editing things together, you've got editorial, you've got, you know, there's so many disciplines, technology, legal. If you like coffee, we have the most amazing people who make coffee. This is part of our family that we see every single day. He gets a credit on our movie because he deserves it, because he's just as, you know, he's working just as hard as we are making sure that we get this movie done. He is our lifeblood. So you know, there's something for everyone, which is really cool. But as far as the path, practical know-how, what's really cool is there's, as frustrating as this things can sometimes be, there's not one path. There are effects artists who used to be architects. There are production management people who used to be teachers. There are all sorts of different walks. So we have people in legal who are also writing screenplays. So there is not one path. I think it's about what you bring to the table, more so than what formal education you have. Obviously, school is amazing if you have the resources and means to attend school. That is amazing. It's a great powerhouse way to learn a lot really quickly, but it's not the only way. And so if you can't afford it or you can't access it, it's definitely not the only way. Practice. There's so many. Thank you, Internet, for being here today, for making this happen. But Internet is also a journey. There's so many tutorials. There are free rigs online for you to play around with. That's definitely what I did in college too. There's free downloadable things that people just make and put out there, and you can practice and hone your skills that way. And for a lot of the visual mediums, it's all concerning your demo reel. For technology, if someone has a specific question about technology, I would be very happy to connect you with someone who can answer that, because I realize I'm not the expert on that, but they also have a particular criterion that is how to get in there, not necessarily all degree based. So I just want to encourage people that direction, that it's not all degree based. It's more about your experience, what you're able to bring forward in an interview, portfolios for any visual medium, for your For your concept artists, it's all about that portfolio. For production management, it's about your resume, and it's about who you bring into that room in that interview, because so much of what we do is interpersonal relationships and managing, and so we want to know how are you going to put together a team? How are you going to create a problem solve your way through a situation? What's your leadership skill? What I always like to ask what your leadership signature is, because I want to know who you are when we put you in a team, and you know who you are if you've got a group of 6 people. How do you get them motivated and to the finish line? So yeah, there's many different ways. I think there's a really neat resource if you guys are looking for a way to connect and engage with a mentor-mentee relationship, that please check it out on Instagram. It's Rise Up Animation, and it has been started by 3 artists and from across the industry, and it's particularly meant to support people of color, but we welcome everyone. I've only recently gotten involved in it too, so I'm looking forward to getting more engaged in it, but it's a great opportunity to get paired with a mentor who's in your discipline that you're interested in, even if it's just to ask questions and get advice, or if it's to get real portfolio feedback. We're there for that too. And it's hopefully someone who is specializing in your field of interest. And if you're just general and you're like, I just want to talk to somebody, there's responding in that sort of way as well. So that's a great resource, and it's new and exciting, and I'm really proud to be a part of it.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I hope everyone.
I love that. I want to find out more, and that really dovetails so much into what we're trying to create locally. And there's some exciting programs that are coming up where we will be working with distance learning, and animation is a perfect candidate to be able to create content that we can work side by side with industry professionals, and then allow students to not only work on a project that it's going to have legs and it's going to see the light of day in some form of distribution, but it's also got industry professionals connected to it, and we'll give them credits that allow them to often really jump over school and expenses in an education that really are not going to get them any further than if they can just get trained in the right place and do the right job and carry on and learn from there. So that's the kind of thing that I know, and I'm kind of like you, where there's some information I can share and some I can't, but there are programs that are on their way to be developed here in Sacramento that will allow us to do exactly that and give students a leg up wherever they are. But the high school age is really where the focus is right now, to give them the opportunity to just speed start a career on a project that is gonna really give them something important on their resume.
Yeah. And I just want to echo that. Like, it's so important that I just hope people feel encouraged that they're not to feel limited because circumstance, because there's always a way to figure it out. And for me, what I learned in school, and I had the wonderful fortune of being able to attend a wonderful university I loved, but I found out what I didn't want to do. And that was just as valuable for me too. And that's something that school can totally give you, and just experience can give you. I got in there and got to see all the different options and went, oh, I don't want to do over half of those. Okay. And so, I think that's really great that you're offering those types of opportunities.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We'll get there.
I have a question for voice acting. Actually, my sister had this question about if you played a certain character in Zootopia.
Yes, I did.
Who did you play?
I played Frou Frou Shrew. I played the little shrew with the big bouffant and the So, thank you.
How did you play her? Did you like go through some process? You're like, hey, I want to do some voice acting, and
it's funny because that came to be. So I was very, very, very fortunate because this doesn't happen often, and I'll be honest about that. So I am very, very fortunate, but the end product very often. But what does happen is what I was saying earlier was, Lori Bex and I, we all get into a recording booth, and we provide temporary vocals to to the soundtrack to figure out character and lines as the lines were, all that good stuff. So that's what I was doing, and I attempted. And we were making that movie in a warehouse in outside of Burbank because our building was being renovated, and so it was very thrifty. We were just like in the editor's room, and we were right next to, we were under the flight path of the Burbank airport, and so the planes were literally like, we joked that we could just reach out and touch the planes. They were like skimming our heads, and there was a train track, and there was like it was an industrial park for sure. So we would be trying to record these lines in our editor's booth, and we would do our takes, and then we'd have to pause because you'd hear you gotta wait for the train, you gotta wait for the plane, and so they'd ruin all the takes, and we had to do it again. So but we just kind of did it organically, and they really liked my performance. I was really, really lucky, and they decided to keep it in because they decided that was the voices for Frou, and so it was very, very fortunate. So that sometimes happens if it's too perfect for the character that they can't get themselves to change it. So that's how you got me as Frou. You're welcome.
That's so funny.
Yeah, that's so funny. That's a great story. So, yeah, my sister, she's like, make sure to ask Leah that one.
It was great.
Do you know about like people wanted to go into voice acting and stuff particularly for animation? Is there something, because we didn't really mention that aspect? Is there something you could do for that, or?
Yeah, like anything else, practice. So much practice. After I started to get into it too, I started taking classes too, to just even better understand the art form, because that is what it is. And honestly, the best voice actors are the best actors. That's it. That's really something that you should take away from it, is that something fun to think about is when you're watching a movie, and if you close your eyes and just listen to their voice, can you still feel the same thing? Can you picture it in your mind? Because sometimes some actors, are maybe going for more of a facial success, on the surface. But the really successful ones for animation are the ones who can really bring life all from this instrument here. And so it's really incredible because I've gotten a chance to meet so many incredible actors, and I have to say, one of the moments I was shook into my core was when Octavia Spencer came and recorded for Zootopia, and she plays Mrs. Otterton, and she has 5 lines, and oh my gosh, we got Octavia Spencer, and like, oh my god, and she comes in and just like kills it. Like we're crying in the record booth because she's crying, we're crying, we're all crying. It's just because she isn't just telling you that her otter husband is missing. Like she's like, my husband is gone, and I am home with 3 children that I can't answer to of what has happened to my husband, and please someone listen to me. And like this hopeless feeling that she was able to bring in 5 lines in a recording room with 5-6 other of us watching her do it, like full lighting, no costume, no environment, whatever. But like that was just one of those moments I'm like, I am watching a goddess perform right now. Like, so, and we're just spoiled for the incredible talent too. I'm always just floored by how much passion and elocution our actors can bring, and those are the ones that are really successful. Those are the ones that the animators love to get, because you get the little extras in there. You get like a stutter or a click or a laugh or a giggle or a breath or something. Those are the things that really bring a character alive too. So that's really kind of the thesis statement, is the best voice actors are the best actors. And yes, you'll hear a lot of voiceover reels that have very cartoony voices, which there is a skill set out there for that as well. But that's not what we look for most of the time, because most of our time our characters are grounded in reality. And so if you think about it, a lot of our actors don't put on affectations most of the time. Interesting.
Yeah. When I was watching the behind the scenes, there was a lot. One of the actors was doing these like he had to do the grunts and
Oh yeah. Oh, I love that stuff.
Yeah. Tell me about that a little bit.
Oh, efforts. Oh, it's so much fun.
Efforts. There you go.
It's so much fun. Yeah, it's funny because all of that has to be into the microphone, has to be created, and so we have something. What do we call it? We call it what do we call it? Action bar. We call it an action bar. We have someone over at the mill on the lot made it for us. It's something that we borrowed from Pixar too. I think they have it there too. But they realized that there was a need for something for the actor to hold on to react against, and so it's literally just a bar that's rooted into the ground with like really sturdy legs, and so that you can hold on to, because it's really hard to be like, okay, you're moving a box and not have anything to push against. You're just like you're like, doesn't sound right. It's so much better when you have something to react to. So all of these efforts are in you are the set, you are the costume, you're in the environment all up here, which is what's really cool. But you do that over and over and over. So you're screaming into a microphone over and over. You're jumping, you're running, you're crying. Oh, the crying. Like it's so emotional. Like, Kristen Bell, okay, here you go. You got to sing that song again and you're going to end up crying. So do that 16 times, please. Thanks so much. And like, here's a Gatorade. And like, it's incredible. But all of that stuff has to be created. So it's exactly as you would imagine. It is hopping up and down. Well, hopping is hard because your feet can't make that noise. You don't want to, the microphone can't pick up the noise of your feet, but you still need the vocalizations of your chest. So it's the, you're like, you can't have your feet slap the ground or eating or something like that. You have to still make sure you can hear the words that are coming out of your mouth, but maybe make it sound like that there is something in your mouth. So, sometimes it's stick a piece of bagel on your side. So you're like, you can kind of talk like you've got something in your mouth, but you at the same time,
you did that
always
really
make
well.
sure it's audible. Oh, thank you. It's really fun. So, everything has to be created all from scratch, which is cool. Burps too. Oh, we always keep everything too if we're recording and like and we have an actor who just like belches into the microphone and you're like, ooh, we're saving that. We might need that later. And so we have a little catalog of like belches. Yeah. Everything gets used.
I wouldn't even think about that. Let's keep that belch on file, please.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is the folder of Kristen Bell belches. Here we go. Yeah.
That is so funny. Yeah. You know what? So when we're talking about the behind the scenes stuff, kind of going back to your program a little bit, just how did that influence you as a creator? Did that influence you seeing those behind the scenes?
So are you saying how did this particular documentary influence me, or how did behind the scenes growing up influence me?
We can start with like seeing behind the scenes when you were younger. Did that influence your profession at all, like going into what you're doing? Or
oh yeah, for sure, it absolutely did. I think I grew up going to Disney World every 5 years or something. That was a really special thing for my family to be able to go to Disney World. So like I remember like every moment of Disney World. Like I said, I have very deep memories of this. But at that time, when I was a child, we still had the Florida studio open, and that was very much what I do now, just with in a amusement park, which is not in case anyone knows, because I think my family still thinks that I work at Disneyland. I do not work at Disneyland. I work about good 30 miles away from Disneyland. So like, but in Florida, that wasn't the case. And so it's understandable. The misperception is totally understandable. The studio was actually in the Disney World amusement park. And so I remember every time I got to go, because I would press my face against the glass and look down, and I didn't want to leave. I would be that first person at the glass, and the last step of the tour guide had already walked way away. And my mom's like, we're going to get locked in here at night, because I am just like staring at these people. And I would have the dreams, like I would have the daydreams where like someone would stop with their coffee and go, you at the glass, you have what it takes to be an animator. Come join us. You have that daytime fantasy. And like I would have this aura glowing around like Captain Marvel or something. Like, I've been chosen. So yes, it very much affected me, being able to like peer behind the screen and see what real life was. That these were people who were making incredible things that I got to see in my living room. So it something like that definitely inspired me. I also grew up on Movie Surfers on the Disney Channel. don't know, which is again behind the scenes. I was like, I would watch that. That's every time it came. Like, no, everything. I'm not eating dinner. I'm not doing anything. This movie surfer time. I need to see how they actually made this movie. So I think behind the scenes is just so neat. It's such a special opportunity to see and relate to the people who are making this a job. And so, yeah, sometimes it is heavily edited, and so you only get to see maybe the, in theory, more extreme dramatic, either more dramatic or more graceful moments. But it is, it's real. I feel the same way about the Mandalorian behind the scenes, like you were mentioning, Bex. Like, I found that super inspiring, and I love to see the diversity that they had in front and behind the camera, because I was like, I marked that. I was like, there is a woman DP, guys, there is a woman behind that camera. And I was like, oh my gosh, and the AD was interviewed, and like the directors were so diverse in experience and from background. And I was like, I wouldn't have known that. I would not have known that without that sort of context. So that the power again of that platform is really special, and it's one that I want to see more of.
Do you think that there'll be more kind of behind the scenes shows then? Do you think that's going to be something that's added to our new daily life?
I hope so. I mean, I definitely hope so. And
the audience loves it. The audience loves it. I mean, that's going to dictate a lot.
Yeah. I hope so. I can't speak to anything that we are doing inside and under the hat, but I hope you guys are excited about some of the things.
It's just us. Go ahead.
I know, right? It's just the three of us. There's no one else here. Yeah, you guys are all just in my backyard. We're just like, whatever. But yeah, I'm excited because I think there are definitely some things that are in the works that I can't talk about right now. But you guys are excited about it. We have our particular studio. Of course, I can speak most intimately about it. Is so rich in history and legacy, and I would love to see more opportunities to tell stories about those folks too, and I hope we have that opportunity. I don't know if we will. I honestly truly don't know what they have cooking. They haven't announced anything to us, but I know they're working on something, and the person who's leading it is very passionate about telling those stories, so it's going to be good. I can tell you that it'll be good because she'll make sure it's good.
For you professionally, really, your climb has been incredible. You have what I would think would be the best of all jobs doing what you're doing. Is it now about the content and what you can do in your current job, or are you looking to even expand or do more? What would be your path moving forward? What would that look like?
We do need to be with a glass of wine in my backyard, Lori. Like when you grow up, like it's really cool because we are at this moment of creative explosion where we have this new platform, this Disney Plus platform, right? And that is hungry for content, and we have a studio of over 700 people of brilliant filmmakers of however they specialize that talent, because we all are storytellers in our own way, however we use that tool in our medium. So there are some really exciting projects that are in the works that I am excited for you to see. Another secret that I can't tell you. I'm so sorry. but I happened to new ones today, actually. And so I very much hope to continue along my my career in taking a stronger leadership position in those. I very much want to be a producer, and I want to be at the helm helping to make those projects a reality, and to do right by the stories and to do right by the filmmakers who are trying to tell those stories. So yeah, that's the goal. It's going to be what we're trying to do. But I'm already having to learn from the producers in our studio, and I've been very fortunate in the positions I've had in story and editorial, particularly, to be so close to the directors and producers and really get to see what you guys saw on that documentary of the choices that have to be made and how to mark progress and problem solve when you are trying to schedule ideas, you know, that's very difficult, you know, to try and figure out when you're going to have that breakthrough or have a deadline that you have to have that creative breakthrough by this date. You have to show yourself by this date or we can't make the movie. So that's that tug and pull, that flexible on your feet problem solving is very fascinating to me. It's very engaging to overcome that and strategically always how we can bring that to the screen is really exciting.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. So are you gonna, after all this is done, when COVID restrictions are lifted, are you gonna come visit us in Sacramento?
Yes. I'm ready. I love it. Oh my, and also, sorry, plug, but the dive bar is so cool in Sacramento. There's mermaids in a bar, guys.
Mermaids. Yeah.
It is so cool. No, absolutely.
Survives. Oh my God. It's like one of those local businesses that I just don't even know how they're handling. And it's truly, it's such an odd time. And I know we have these conversations with a million people a day because we're all just kind of like gobsmacked at what is doing right now and how we have to, another word I hate is pivot, but I mean, that's really recognizing what in most environments, in most, not only live action filmmaking, but, you know, just in the world, in business. So, you know, figuring out how to pivot and what to do, because I don't think this is going to change, certainly not for a while. And we got to just make the most of it because I think what we're creating is great stuff to come out of that.
Yes. Yeah, it is a time of reinvention, but also a time of great responsibility that we have to be a part of the solution to. Please wear masks. Everyone's do it for me. I love you, please. You know, we are in control of solving this as well, and so we're solution, and you know, so we have to roll up our sleeves and own that responsibility that we play both socially as humans, and then if you know, talking professionally, you have to reinvent how you're looking at the world. And like I said, I'm in a very fortunate place that I am able to work from home, but there are so many people who can't, and there are so many people who are having to rethink what that means, just providing for them and their families means in this situation. So shout out to everyone who is affected in that way. And yeah, I wish that solutions and ingenuity upon all of us.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you. We have one more video. I don't know if Reggie has it that might like brighten us up a little bit more. I want to end on the start. We have to.
I want to make sure I answer Kat's note too. I know Kat had asked a question. I want to make sure I get it. Oh,
yeah.
Go ahead, Bobby and Kristen. Let's get it.
I'm not gonna lie that doing the stupid dance helps feel the swing.
Some things never change. Turn around and the time has flown. Some things
stay the same. Though the future remains unknown, may our
good luck last, may our past be past. Time's moving fast, it's true.
Some things never change, and I'm holding on tight to you. Holding on tight to you.
Holding on tight to you.
Holding on tight to you.
Really nice. Really nice.
Very nice.
I'm holding on tight to you.
Oh, that was nice.
Yay!
Oh,
so fascinating. It's so interesting.
I love it.
You know what's really cool too is seeing. It's funny because even some folks in our own studio have said that they have learned. Like speaking to me, they're like, "I did until I watched the documentary." It's like we all do so many things, even though we work in the same building. We take a lot of things for granted, and so it's done a lot. It's done a lot to provide context to how we try to make this, and yet there are so many things that documentary wasn't able to capture too. It didn't show the Saturday that Bex keeps saying Heather. She's my close friend, and I call her my work wife because we're every day, all day, best friends in work and life. So, but we definitely fought side by side through that movie. But we were on one given Saturday, Bobby and Kristen were in Los Angeles, and we had to find a piano because they had an idea in their head. And we had to find a piano in our studio on a Saturday. I had to call security and like try to have them. It has just so happened that my president associate producer is also a part-time composer, and he had a piano in his office, and we got keys to unlock it, and we pushed this piano down the hallway into our story room so that Bobby could sit behind it and play the first inklings of Show Yourself. So, you know, like those little stories weren't captured by the cameras, and you know, but it's just so funny, you know, what you go through to try to make these things come to life.
Awesome. Well, thank you for doing what you do, and thank you for being a leader in animation and in film. So, just
and a friend of Sacramento filmmaking. I want to make sure here we all need to smile and look at the camera. Elizabeth, you ready? She's going to take a screenshot.
We get it.
I hope it happened.
She's the best in capturing the behind the scenes stuff, and when we're online, it's not as easy. So,
oh yes, of course.
Yeah, we definitely. I mean, as far as your skills and what you're doing, we want you to stay in touch. We want to know, you know, how you're developing, what you're doing. I'm gonna and probably make some introductions to you as well, because I know that there is. There are relationships that are already forming within your company for some of the stuff I was talking about, and I want to make sure that I want to make sure that you're, you know, aware of it, and you can tell us, yes, that's great. No, that's not great. You know,
fantastic.
It's just nice to have another voice to refer to. I know that there are so many people that can't even grasp that they can take their skill set and apply it to what you're doing, even though they never saw themselves working in animation, because I think of the perception is probably close to like what you had, where I'm going to draw. Yes. And many of us that have other skill sets, but yet can apply to that. I just think that's perfect for our creatives right now, in that if live action is, you know, stuttering until we start up, you know, as best we can, animation is a really good way to pivot and see what you can, you know, relate to in that side of the world, in that side of the industry. So I love that you're here to share that and to remind people of all of those opportunities. We had such a good time at the, you know, For the Love of Cinema event that Bex and Samantha and I want that T-shirt. I want a T-shirt like that. So we want to do it again. We want to support bringing something and doing it even on a greater scale. And just, you know, keep us in mind, because we're going to keep in touch. And anything that you can tell us that we can share will just make me giggle. So that'll be kind of fun.
And we want to support you too, Leah, though. We want to support you and your dreams. I want to see, I'm going to come when you, I'm going to do a screenshot, make my kids all watch when your name is producer up there. So they're going to get mad again, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. That's going to happen. It's just a matter of, you know, when, because, you know, you're contributing to something so awesome right now. It's just going to, your path is going to continue. I can't wait to see what happens with that. So
thank you both. Thank you. That means a lot. I really appreciate that. And absolutely, I can't wait for us to do this again, and I'll be able to tell you some more behind the scenes of Raya when we get to that place too. It'll be fun. I'll have plenty more stories, I promise.
Now, what's the release date of the new movie? Is that, what did you say that again?
Yeah, right now it's March 21st of next year. But as you know, the world is ever shifting right now, and so you know, we are looking at that. We're looking at the company in general is always. You know, Mulan has been pulled from its slate at the moment too, so that, you know, we're wanting to make sure everyone gets to enjoy it in a safe place. And so, but right now it is slated for March. So I hope it's.
I wanted to insert something too, where with what you're doing, and with obviously the change in distribution, Are you part of that conversation in what you're doing as production supervisor, or are you literally, we build it, you guys figure out how to distribute it and ship it? Or is that part of a conversation that you're involved in, especially with how things are changing?
Yeah. It is above my pay grade. So it is very much at a very top studio level, because the Disney company, think about all of our branches. We have to figure out release slates for all of our branches, and that includes Blue Sky and Fox and Lucasfilm and and Pixar and us and Marvel and Star Wars, and so it's huge. It's really, really huge, and so they take all of that into consideration. And so it is very much above my pay grade. I do not have that sort of deterministic screen yet, but they are. It is something that is very heavily discussed and intentionally set. So it is not a wanton decision at all.
Yeah. Thank you. I just wanted to, I'm always interested at that part of the business, and with things changing as quickly as they are, I'm just looking for inspiration in every corner to know that we're gonna rebuild and come back with something that's even greater than what we have already experienced. So
and we will.
My wish to you all.
Yes.
Thank you both. It was really great to have the conversation, to make the acquaintance with our audience, and we already love Beck. So
yeah, Beck.
Don't be stealing her. I'm just saying.
Well, I can't make any promises. Any moment I get to work with Bex, yeah, exactly, is a beautiful honor. She is a hero and a goddess. You are a warrior. Yeah, but if any of you out there get a chance to work with Bex, please do call that lady. She can make anything happen.
That's super sweet.
Incredibly talented and wonderful person. Yay.
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 Everybody loves you, and everybody says thank you. There's so many fans that you have that have been following along. So thank you so much. I appreciate both of you. This has been a lot of fun. We're going to end the broadcast now, and Elizabeth will have pictures and we'll have a link to share with you. But
I miss everybody out there.
Yeah, stay safe. Love